Hey, 8th grade. So our learning target today is I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find an unknown side length of a right triangle. So we're looking for side lengths today that are unknown using something called the Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to start by watching kind of this little water experiment. So let's take a look at this water experiment. Everybody just sit back and watch. If I can get the link to work here. There we go. So what it's showing you here is kind of how the Pythagorean theorem works. A squared plus b squared equals c squared when you square the sides. There isn't any audio needed for this, you're just watching. So what it's showing you here is that the area of the two smaller squares is equal to the area of the big square. So if you add the area of the two smaller squares, you get the area of the big square. So that's where that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, the area of the a times a plus b times b equals c times c. We'll watch it one more time. Well, you can watch it another time on your own if you want. Maybe we'll watch it one more time. Or let's just watch this Pythagoras idea, that same idea. The area of the small squares, you add them up. A squared plus b squared equals the area of the big square, c squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. This square plus that square equals that square. Total areas. Okay. So here we go. So that's kind of how the Pythagorean theorem works. So there's some key words here. First of all, is that it is made up of right triangles only. You can only have a right triangle here in order for that to work. So we talked about that yesterday in our work. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that gives you that right triangle here. Another term that's kind of new here is this thing called the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longest side C across from the right angle. So here's our right angle symbol. Across from the right angle is called the hypotenuse. And the other two have names, and they're called the legs. So A is a leg, B is a leg, and C is the hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we're going to talk about how we find the unknown side length over here of x. So first of all, we identify here's the right angle. The side opposite is called the hypotenuse, and that's always our C. The other two sides don't matter. We have a 4 and we have a 3. They're called legs. One of them can be A, one of them can be B. So I'm going to call this one A and this one B. It doesn't matter. So in for A substitution, I'm going to put a 4. In for B substitution, I'm going to put a 3. And in for C substitution, I'm going to put an X. That's called the hypotenuse. That's the only one that matters, is that the hypotenuse is your C. The A and B can be switched. Your two legs can be switched. So as I start to solve then, we have a 4 times 4, which is 16. We have a 3 times 3, which is a 9. And we have an x squared over on the right-hand side. We're going to use the hand method here eventually. 16 plus 9 gives us 25 equals x squared. And now we have the square. To undo the square and get rid of that power of 2, we take the square root, copy, paste. And we get 5 equals x. So this length here, this x actually is equal to 5 centimeters. So we found out that the hypotenuse, the side opposite the right angle symbol, is 5 centimeters. So our final answer there would be, so we have this right triangle where the legs are 4 centimeters and 3 centimeters. That was given to us. We just found out that the hypotenuse is 5 centimeters. So it's a 3 by 4 by 5 triangle. In example 2, using the Pythagorean theorem, always identify the hypotenuse first. It's the opposite of the right angle symbol, so there's our C. So using substitution, we're going to put a 17 in for C. The A and B don't matter. There are two legs, the sides that are adjacent to the right angle symbol. So one of them can be A and one of them can be B. It doesn't matter. This is going to turn into the hand method here. We're going to substitute A in for 9. 9 in for A, I meant to say. Our B value, I don't know why that did that. We're going to put 9 back in for A here. I don't know why I lost that. The B value there is going to be X. There's our unknown. Hand method kicks in. We take our hand, cover the variable, and anything attached. I'm going to first call that 81 before I do that. 9 times 9 is 81. On the right-hand side, I have 17 squared, which is 17 times 17 is 289. Now the hand method's going to kick in. Take my hand, cover that. I'm going to subtract 81, copy, paste. Working left to right then. If I haven't used it, I drag it down, and we have 289 minus 81 on the right-hand side. Go ahead and use that calculator. Is 208. My job is to get rid of that power of 2, so I take the square root, copy, paste, and we get x equals plus or minus 14.4 is our answer there. So the triangle that was given looks like this. And we knew that the hypotenuse from the beginning was 17 feet. And we knew that this was 9 feet, the one of the legs, but we did not know this leg here. And so we just found it. That leg there is going to be equal to 14.4 feet. So not a nice whole number. It doesn't always come out that way. Not a super nice whole number. Okay, so our next problem, this example 3, you try using the Pythagorean theorem. Identify the hypotenuse first. Hypotenuse is side opposite the right angle symbol, so that's going to be my C. The other two can be A and B. So this is going to be my start. I'm going to put a 10. 10 is going to be my A. X is going to be my B. So using substitution, I put an X in for the B. I put a 10 in for the A. And the key is that you always have the right C value. The hypotenuse is going to be 14. The C substitution happens. 14 goes in. So we have 10 squared plus X squared equals 14 squared. Okay, go ahead and clean that up. Go ahead and solve that. So as I start to solve them, we have 10 squared, which is 100, plus x squared equals 196. That's my next step. So I go ahead and simplify. That's 100. We have 100. We have 196. Hand method kicks in at this step. Then I take my hand, cover that. And at that point, I'm going to subtract 100, copy, paste. Working left to the right then, if I haven't used it, I drag it down. That's a 0. I'm going to drag this down. Gives me x squared equals 96. To get rid of that little power of 2, if we go ahead and highlight that little power of 2, the way we get rid of it is we take the square root, copy, paste. They cancel then, and we're done with x approximately is equal to. We take the square root, we get plus or minus 9.8. Plus or minus 9.8 is our answer. So if we go back and take this triangle that was given to us, so it looks like this. It's a right triangle. You have to have a right triangle in order for this to work, called the Pythagorean theorem. We know that this here was our hypotenuse, and it was 14. It was given to us, 14 meters. Not really sure what I just wrote there. Sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and write that again. So we get 14 meters. This here is 10 meters. The unknown was this side over here, and I just solved for it, and I didn't get a nice whole number, but it's 9.8. So that's how we use that Pythagorean theorem. Okay, let's take a look at the next example on the top of the next page. The text on the top of the next page, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared using the Pythagorean theorem. Again, this only works for right triangles. You have to have a right, in order to have this equal sign, you have to have a right triangle. So solving substitution, identify the hypotenuse first. That's my C. Be very careful when you substitute this in. Notice there is a square root symbol there. So we have the square root of 80, and we're going to square that. The legs are A and B. So there's my A and there's my B. Those are my legs using substitution. And for A, we're going to put an X. And for B, we're going to put a 7. So we have x squared plus 7 squared equals the square root of 80 squared. Okay, this is going to be a little bit tricky because there's a square root in there, but you'll be able to handle it. So as I start to solve, we get x squared plus 49 equals. We have the square root of 80 squared. So we have a square root and we have a square. The square and the root cancel, gives us an 80 that drops out. Hand method kicks in, solving, we subtract 49, copy, paste. So we get x squared equals 80 minus 49 is 31. Solving for that square root, we take the square root, copy, paste. We get x is approximately equal to plus or minus. So we're taking the square root of 31. Plus or minus square root of 31 is 5.6. So now if I go back to the original triangle that was given, we had this right angle symbol here. The hypotenuse was the square root of 80, which is sort of a weird side length, but we had to square that to get rid of it. We knew that this was 7 millimeters, and the unknown in this particular problem was this. I just solved it, and I got 5.6. So my height there would be 5.6. Okay, so that's called the Pythagorean theorem. Some key things for our work today. In summary, remember in the Pythagorean theorem, it has to be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The only time you can use that is if this is a right triangle. You need a right triangle. In order for that to happen, you need that right angle symbol there. Then, if you're using the Pythagorean theorem, I just mentioned that it's for right triangles only, that equal sign. And then keep in mind that the hypotenuse has to be the longest side C. Find that first. The legs are A and B. They don't matter. It doesn't matter. This can be A or B. This could be A or B. It doesn't matter. The key is that you have the hypotenuse locked in on that long side. So that is called the Pythagorean theorem. It's one of the most well-known right triangle theorems in all mathematics. It's very likely that your parents remember doing Pythagorean theorem as students themselves. So that is our work for Pythagorean theorem today. So your homework for tonight is to do the rest of page 22, all of page 23 due tomorrow using the Pythagorean theorem, just a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Make sure it's a right triangle in order to do that. Identify the hypotenuse first. That's your C. A and B, it doesn't matter what you use for A and B as the legs. Hand method then kicks in. Again, homework is to get through page 23. Have a fabulous night. All my work and answers should be on my website if you're struggling.